Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to the best animated shows ever, so far, with MC and Troy.
I'm Troy.
And I'm MC.
And this is the best animated shows ever. So far. Where we watch, discuss, and rank every animated show ever, eventually. And we are today wrapping up, kind of sadly, our discussion of Gargoyles with episode 3. Behind the scenes listeners, not my behind the scenes segment, but behind the scenes for the podcast. I'm a little sad that we're wrapping this up so quickly because we have been typically recording like in real time but ahead of schedule. So we talk about a show for 3 weeks and we've done all of Gargoyles in, it's going to be like 25-hour span when we finish.
So
it feels too quick.
We'll talk about why, I guess. You're going on a trip.
Yeah. There's just scheduling things are difficult for a bit, so we're trying to get way ahead of schedule. So we are like sprinting through Gargoyles to get ahead of schedule.
Well, there's that. It's also a show that we quite like. So watching 3 episodes really fast is fun to do, and like it also means like, if we want to continue watching it, it's a good place to go from. Like, I watched a few more episodes of Restaurant to Another World.
Yeah.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just because I had already watched some already. So
hey,
I was like...
On that note, in my cartoon news of the week, I finished watching the first season of My Hero Academia, finally. It only took like a year, but I finally went back to it. And hey, you know what? It's pretty good. It's a pretty good show. So anyway, if we're weird, it's because we've recorded 3 episodes in the past day and a half. Not even day and a half. The past day. We started recording the first episode 25 hours ago, almost exactly. Gargoyles, season 1, episode 3. I only have one behind the scenes thing I want to mention because I should have mentioned it last episode, but I forgot. When we were talking about voice actors, there's one voice actor that I didn't mention by the name of Greg Wiseman, which eagle-eared listeners may remember as, hey, isn't that the guy who created the Gargoyles? Why, yes, it is. He is a voice actor in the second episode. He is the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who says, nice mask, when he sees the Gargoyles for the first time. And so yeah, the creator of the show gotta get his voice in there just a little bit. I think that's really cool. But yeah, that's all I got for behind the scenes stuff, because we're going to dive into it, and then we got to rank it and pick a new show. So we got plenty to do today, MC, as we discuss Gargoyles, Episode 3, Awakening, Part 3, right after these messages.
Hello, you beautiful YouTube watchers. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're back.
And episode 3 premiered on October 24th, 1984. Hey, wait, isn't that the same date? MC, hang on. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
MC,
all 5 in a row, probably.
Did all 5 come out on the same day? Oh my gosh, they did. All 5 parts of Awakening came out on the same day. If I have a time machine, that's the day I'm gonna go to. And I'm gonna... I guess that would be silly. That would be a waste of a time machine. But can you imagine watching all 5 of these in a row? Sitting down in front of the TV, Disney Channel? Ugh.
What I really want is for them to update it.
Mm-hmm.
Bring out a whole new show of it in higher quality.
Listen, I can't say that I want... I don't want a reboot, because I think the original still holds up. I think a continuation could be interesting, except for I have absolutely no memory of the end of the show. I thought about doing that as behind the scenes for this episode. I was like, what if we did, like, let's talk about where the Gargoyles go from here? Because as I mentioned, like, golden cyborgs show up at one point. I'm pretty sure robotic duplicates of the Gargoyles show up at one point. Mech suits, I know, are an important thing. There's another gargoyle. I don't know if there's a lot of other gargoyles, but I know there's at least one because there's another female gargoyle besides Marina Sirtis's gargoyle who also shows up again. So, like, there's a lot of places this show goes. I don't remember how it ends well enough. I think Odin is in it at one point. Anyway, I don't remember how it ends well enough to be like, and this is what a continuation would look like. But you know what? All I really want. Hey there, Disney. I can't think of who's in charge of Disney right now, but I know you're listening, person who's in charge of Disney. All I really want for Christmas is Gargoyles on Disney Plus, and it may be that you've already got Gargoyles and Tailspin and Darkwing Duck and Chip and Dale, all of these shows all lined up to hit the streaming service as soon as it launches. But if you don't, if you could just put it on there for Christmas for me, I'd really love it, because I'm having a baby right before Christmas, and I don't want to raise my baby on Caillou. I want to raise my baby watching cool cartoons that I watched when I was growing up. MC, have we talked about Caillou?
No.
I was thinking that if we wanted to change the tagline of our show, we should change it to the best animated shows ever so far, where we watch, discuss, and rank every animated show ever, except for Caillou, because I'm not watching Caillou. I won't do it. I won't. The only way I'm going to watch Caillou is if we watch, discuss, and rank literally every other animated show in existence. Then I will watch Caillou. That will be the last show.
Everyone's heard it now. It's going to be the very last show ever.
As we go into the deep, dark good night of the heat death of the universe, we will watch, discuss, and rank Caillou.
Here's the thing. We might be in our 90s. we might decide that we don't want to record anymore, and we hand it off to someone else. And that will be our last episode, because we can no longer continue to rank them.
MC, tell me about The Awakening Part 3.
So we pretty much start right back up with the detective and I believe Owen down in the main lobby talking right after the end of the last episode.
And Owen's like, that was just an exploding generator. There's nothing to be concerned about.
And she's pretty much like, you listen here, I'm either going in there by with you all by myself, or I'm going to go get warrants and a shit ton of more police officers to get in there to investigate what's going on.
Is that a thing a police officer can say? I felt like maybe, like, I mean, that is what she's going to do, is go get a warrant and come back with cops. And obviously I've heard that in a lot of TVs and movies, that the cops say that, like, either you let me in or I'm coming back with a warrant. But that feels bad. It doesn't feel good that a cop would say that.
No, but at the same time, a lot of people are just going to say, go get a warrant anyway, even if they're not doing anything bad. It's perfectly legal. But it
feels
makes
like a
you
weird
look
sort
good.
of bullying.
Yeah, no, but it also makes you look less guilty if you invite someone in.
That's true. But it just, the like, I'll come back with a warrant and a lot more cops just feels icky to me.
No, but it's just how things have to be. But at the same time, Owen takes her up and Xanatos is like, yes, that was just the stories for the papers. What actually happened was a rival corporation attacked us and we had to fend off a raiding force. And she's like, it's New York, it's not the Middle Ages or something like that, doesn't she say?
No, she says you're a businessman, not a country. And he's like, lady, I am so rich. Like, you wouldn't even begin to believe how rich I am. You can't possibly understand how rich I am. Just don't ask to see my tax returns.
Oh my god. No, I'm not. We're not getting into that. No. We're moving on. We're going towards the silly bit of the show where the chubby guy gargoyle gets locked in the freezer. And they try and pull the door open.
He finds a big walk-in fridge and then gets locked in. And there's a weird, completely unnecessary scene where they're trying to pull the door open and he's going to charge and run at it. But then they get the door open just at the last minute, and so he rolls out. I don't know why this is here. It's weird.
No, I have no idea. It's just comedy. Distraction, comedy distraction, I guess, from all the insane stuff that's going on the really heavy side of things of like, yeah, another corporation attacked us and you're a police officer and you're investigating what's going on and you're about to find a whole bunch of gargoyles.
Which does, because she sees Geezer Gargoyle move and she's like, I just saw that move. And Snape is like, no, you did not. And she's like, all right, cool. And then he puts her in an elevator and she's like, I'm going to keep investigating, I think.
What actually happens is he says, oh, I sometimes think I see them move too.
Okay, so listen, her saying I'm going to come back with a warrant may not be illegal, although it seems immoral. Her getting shown the exit and then sneaking back in, that's got to be illegal,
that's illegal,
right? That's not good.
No, that's illegal right there. That's not good. And she goes snooping about, and essentially she is followed by Garghound.
Gargdog.
Yeah, no, I'm changing his name to Garghound because he's sniffing her out.
But would you call it a guard hound?
Get it?
If it was a guard hound? No, you'd call it a guard dog. Guard dog. All right, we can call him Garghound. Okay, Garghound.
Just for this little bit, he's being a hound because he's sniffing her out. And then she falls off the building because she's frightened by Goliath.
Yeah, Goliath comes looming out of the shadows, very Batman style, and she's like, oh, dip, and falls off the edge. I'm pretty sure that's what she says.
Yeah.
And Goliath's like, fine, and goes diving after her.
Yeah, and then she's like, don't hurt me. And he's like, what were you doing in my castle?
And she's like, that's David Xanatos' castle. I don't think she says that.
No, she's like, you speak? And then she's like, we either have to get down or go back up to the castle. So if you just want to fly us up there. And he's like, there's no updrafts here. I can't just fly anywhere. I just glide.
Yeah. Which, okay. I mean, it looks like you fly, but okay, if you say so.
And then he just carries her up the wall.
Yeah. And definitely a lot of people see him because he flies like 15 feet above street level when he catches her, or glides 15 feet above street level. So I'm like, Goliath, you've already revealed yourself. That'll become important in a second here. Because then he climbs up the castle and carries her back up. And he introduces her to his friends. And he's like, these are my friends. This is a police officer. She is a detective. She investigates. And she's like, I put bad people in jail. And he's like, who says what's bad? And she's like, the people do. And he's like, oh, I guess that kind of makes some sense then. But it's just like a democratically voted thing where like the people decide on the laws based on a simple majority. No, we have a very complex system of government that allows for a small group of corporations to control the laws that govern the people. Well, that maybe doesn't seem like it's perhaps the best system. Oh, okay.
Stop, Troy. We can't get political on our show about cartoons.
Just saying.
But yes, she's pretty much like, hey, the people decide, and then it's like all the people, and she's like, yeah, pretty much. Even though, as Troy pointed out, that's not always how it works. God, Troy.
And he's like, hey, I want to know more about this city of York New. And she's like, cool, I'll tell you about it tomorrow afternoon. He's like, tomorrow night. And she's like, whoa, okay. Fine.
And she's like, here? And he's like, no, over on that building over there. And he points off like a couple of buildings away that's a bit lower. And there's some discussion here about why on another building.
Mm-hmm.
And he points out that she doesn't she doesn't trust everyone, which is why she snuck back in. And he's like, well, we have something in common then.
We don't trust everyone either. I mean, really, we don't trust very many people. We trust this David guy. Have you met him? He's really great. He's got a sweet Xbox and home theater set up downstairs. We can go play some Halo. I've learned to play Halo. I'm very good on Blood Gulch. I like it a lot.
I don't know if they trust him or not, but pretty much he shows Goliath a floppy disk and a videotape of like different hideouts where these discs are being held, and he wants them and the Gargoyles to go and get these discs back. So I'm supposed to not think this guy's a bad dude or a villain with all this like conniving, like trying to get these gargoyles to go rob these heavily fortified, very weird places. Like there's a floating fort.
Yep, there's an island, there's an underground one, and a flying air fortress. Which when that showed up, I was like, the air fortress. Because it's two things.
Yeah,
one,
it's S.H.I.E.L.D.
It's S.H.I.E.L.D. It's just 100% S.H.I.E.L.D. But also, I like immediately remember that from this show. Like as soon as the air fortress showed up, I was like, oh yeah, there's a flying air fortress in Gargoyles. Yeah, Xanatos definitely not a villain, right? 100%.
No.
Totally moral for him to like wake up these ancient sleeping beasts and be like, hey, go be my like strike force. Nothing wrong with that. Probably.
No. He seems totally legit. He's not some corporate sleazy dude who's up to no good in trying to get around the law.
I do like that he's like, Goliath's like, what did they steal? And he's like, floppy disks. And he's like, what the heck is a floppy disk? And he's like, well, it's kind of like a magical scroll, and you have to get it back before they decode the data, or before they translate the magical spell. And Goliath's like, I'm not an idiot. Like, you don't have to talk down to me quite that much. Although he does call the TV screen a living tapestry, so
Now, I guess he's trying to talk to him in language that he will understand. And Goliath's like, we'll think about it. And he walks off, and there's a silhouette of someone.
Bum, bum, bum.
And he's like...
It's a winged figure. A winged figure.
Can you tell there's wings?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's kind of like when Goliath has his wings tied up in the front, so it looks like they have a cloak on. I don't think you actually see wings. On.
I'm trying to get to where it shows up. Just skipping through him talking to Goliath. There's the underground base. And then, oh, look at that mischievous smile, Xanatos. That's a bad guy smile if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
And then Goliath leaves the room, and then the thing opens, and oh my god, you can see it's her. Like, there's lines drawn. You can 100% tell that it is the angel of the night.
But the sun comes up, they're all statues again.
MC, pause. Don't just skip past that. How's she still alive? She was smushed to rubble. We saw her non-nougaty insides.
We talked about how we knew she was going to continue to be in the show because we remember her being in the show. She's not actually dead, like in the first episode.
Okay, we can skip past it. Fine. So
yeah, she's mysteriously back.
It shows the sun going down. It's showing all over New York. And just before we see the gargoyles awaken as the sun goes down, did you notice what it shows just before we see the gargoyles awaken, MC?
The Statue of Liberty.
I submit to you, MC. The Statue of Liberty is a gargoyle that is under a curse. And if David Xanatos picked up the Statue of Liberty and took it to a heavily foggy area, then the Statue of Liberty would awaken and it would become a gargoyle.
Or, you could just spray it down with pink goo.
Mm-hmm. Or the Doctor Who
music.
reference where the Statue of Liberty is alive.
Yeah. I went with Ghostbusters.
Do you remember that? Do you remember on Doctor Who when the Statue of Liberty came to life? It was a weeping angel.
It was a giant mechanical
No.
like death machine, wasn't it?
No, it was a weeping angel. It was
right.
Spoilers. It was in the episode where Amy and Rory leave because Rory gets zapped back in time, and Amy's like, I can't go on without him, and she willingly gets zapped back in time to go spend the rest of her days with Rory in the 1930s New York, where the Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel. Anyway, Ghostbusters.
Well, I thought it was like kind of poetic because the little pink electric things that bounce through that goo, that kind of looks like how when they burst out of their shells, their rock shells.
Okay, sure. I have not seen Ghostbusters 2 in a long time, but I believe you.
I'm pretty sure there's like pink electricity stuff running.
Don't they use one of the like arcade stick Nintendo controllers to drive the Statue of Liberty?
I can't remember.
I think they do. The one with the joystick.
Yeah.
So Gargoyles Season 1, Episode 3, Awakening Part 3. They all wake up.
Yep.
The
They're
awakening.
having a chat on the roof about going out into the world, and Goliath is like, hey, just be careful, stay close to the building, and don't get seen.
Don't let anybody see you, especially not a dude on a motorcycle.
I don't think he gets that specific, but he goes off and he talks with the detective.
Here's the problem, Goliath. Lots of people have seen you already. You swoop down right over a bunch of police officers. Everybody knows that there's a bat in Gotham City and that there's a gargoyle in New York City. Everybody knows this now.
But
J. Jonah Jameson is talking about it on his radio show. Well, he's in New York City. So J. Jonah Jameson would be like, have you heard about these gargoyles? They're a menace to our city. They're in league with the Spider-Man. I don't know where that J. Jonah Jameson came from, but I like it. Ooh, I liked that one. Okay, MC, please get us back on track. Why are you just letting me ramble?
I don't know. Because it's funny?
Stop it. I've lost my mind.
So here's what happens. Goliath goes to the meeting with the detective on the roof across the way, and there's a thing that she like confronts him, and they have a discussion, and then the old grizzled guy swoops in behind her, and she's like, oh, you guys are even paranoid for New York.
And they're like, dude, 3 days ago for us, our entire species was killed. Lay off.
By someone who we trusted. And he's like, oh, here's one. How he gets his name is so silly. Because he's like, does this guy have a name? Does that river over there have a name? And she's like, it's the Hudson. And he's like, well, then you can just call me the Hudson as well.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Because he's old grizzled gargoyle, so he's like as, sturdy and reliable as the river. I think it works. It's okay for me. I like Hudson. That's a good name. But
that's how he gets
gargoyle.
His name.
Yeah.
And then
go ahead.
She's like, oh, we don't want to get you guys don't want to be seen. The public will freak out. And then she's like, it's okay for you guys to be on the rooftops. You guys have wings. You can just fly anywhere. And it's like, how am I supposed to get anywhere? And then Goliath just picks her up, and there's this like tender moment between them, and it's really creepy because they're two different species.
Yeah, they're about to go down to the bone zone. Hey,
Well,
MC.
What?
Does Goliath though?
Does he though?
But does he though?
But does he though?
I mean, here's the thing about that question. We know very little about gargoyle physiology. We do know they lay eggs. And so that makes me have a lot of questions about whether or not Goliath though.
But does he though?
I think he does. They all wear loincloths. So we don't know what's underneath those loincloths.
Oh, yeah. We don't. But essentially, Hudson's like, I'm going to get out of here. You guys do whatever you want. And
I think this is where he has the line where he says, "This future is too big, too bright, and too loud for me." And I was like, dude, same though. Like, that is me every time I start to have like a low-key anxiety attack in public. Is that's what's in my head. Is too big, too bright, too loud. Ah.
Yeah. And then pretty much what happens is he takes her on a small flight. They have a discussion about good and evil again. Then it cuts back to Hudson, and he finds a room in the castle
with the big screen
a lazy
TV
boy
and the Xbox.
Yeah. And the lazy boy. But he sits in the lazy boy and he does the back and forth thing that everyone does.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Oh, comfortable." And then he turns on the TV, and it scares him and Garg Dog out of the room.
Well, that's because he was playing Resident Evil.
It's some hair metal music by the looks of what was on the TV.
Fine, fight back against my Xbox jokes. Resident Evil wasn't on the original Xbox, was it? I couldn't think of a scary game that was on the original Xbox.
With the polygons that they had back then, I don't think anything was really scary.
One time,
Tense is probably the best.
One time, my friend and I played the Resident Evil remake on GameCube, and we played it in his camper trailer, in the driveway of his house. We were having a sleepover and slept in the camper trailer. We also watched Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey that night. But before we watched Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, we were playing Resident Evil remake, and there's the part where the dogs jump through the window. And right after that part, we heard howling in the distance, like coyote howling, and we were like, "Oh, scary." And then something scratched on the door of his trailer, and we pooped our pants, and it was his small dog wanted to come into the trailer. But it was so scary because we were like howling in the distance. Ooh, that's scary, isn't it? And then we heard just like scratch, scratch, scratch. And I was like, I don't play scary video games or watch scary movies. MC, what happens next?
A car breaks down in a bad neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And the detective comes out while a gang of guys are going to harass this guy whose car's broken down.
Mm-hmm.
And the thugs chase a cop down an alley rather than going after the guy, which is, I guess, weird and
she's
confusing,
like, "You're gonna be sorry. I promise you, don't do this."
Yeah, and then the gargoyle essentially beats him up.
Which, okay, so she's like, people aren't going to trust you. Let me prove to you that people won't trust you by getting you into a confrontation where you're going to attack a person. I don't know what she's playing at here. It seems like poor decision making.
Here's the other thing, like, the point doesn't get put across until after the fight's done, and she's like, "See, those two, they just ran away. They were frightened by you." Like, that was her point. Like, not the thugs, the innocent people who were in the car who just saw some creature beat up 3 thugs.
And those are the people who shouldn't be afraid of him because he saved them. So okay, that's fair. I guess her point stands. Meanwhile, the Three Stooges, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo are hanging out on a rooftop, just watching, look at all this cool stuff that's happening, and they see a motorcycle, and Donatello's like, I have to know how that works, and so he swoops down to see how it works and scares the motorcycle man.
He actually says, what a beautiful machine.
Yeah.
And it's like after he says that, it's like 5 seconds later, the guy on the bike turns his head and sees this flying thing next to him. And then once the guy crashes, he just runs off. And then the Donatello dude tries to ride the bike. And as with some people with their first time on motorcycles, he just guns it.
Yep.
And he is lucky enough to have wings because before it crashes into a wall, he just jumps off the back and floats to the ground.
It's good to be able to do that. Good to have a little emergency parachute on your back the first time you ride a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. And they were all like, hey, let's not tell Goliath about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's him and the detective lady in the park discussing everything.
Eliza just takes Goliath to Central Park to wander around. Listen, we don't want you to be seen by people, so let's go to Central freaking Park. Bad idea.
Yeah, but it's the middle of the night. No one's walking through Central Park in the middle of the night in the 90s.
Unless they're muggers, because she's like, there's muggers in here, but they're probably not going to bother you. You're probably fine. You're probably not going to get attacked by anybody. Oh, snap. It's the Initiative from Angel. S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Initiative are the same thing, MC. And they're hunting down Spike and Goliath, and they're going to put chips in their heads to make them not be able to hurt people.
I mean, it kind of worked for Spike for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Until the chips started going haywire.
Yeah. So Goliath's knocked unconscious by a dart gun, and Eliza pulls a gun and is like, what are you doing? And the guy's like, we're just gonna capture this specimen or something.
He's like, we're gonna finish something that we started earlier.
Yeah.
And that's when the episode ends.
That's where it ends. That's all that happens, and there's never another episode made. It's a darn shame. I like this show. I'm liking it a lot, which leads us into... MC, do you remember Blue's Clues?
Yes.
Blue's Clues has a song that we can't use as our theme song for when we want to check to see if we've got mail. But okay. I just want to mention the mail theme from Blue's Clues in the hopes that that will cause it to spontaneously play in the minds of our listeners so that we can use it as the theme song without actually using it as the theme song.
Very cool.
We psychologically can trick our listeners into thinking that's our theme song, even though it's not. We got some stuff about gargoyles from our listeners and friends on the internet, MC.
You were telling me about this just moments ago. So we've got a couple of recordings and some messages from where? Instagram, Reddit?
Yeah, a couple from Instagram, a couple from Reddit. I don't think we had any in Facebook yet. But let's see. So from Instagram, I asked folks who their favorite gargoyle was. Which mine is Donatello Gargoyle, which I guess is just cheating because it's just Donatello. I'm not sure about you. Do you have a favorite gargoyle?
Hudson,
that's Old Man Gargoyle, right?
Yeah.
He's good. So let's see. One person, PD. I didn't think about the fact that I would have to pronounce usernames in this segment, MC. P Darren81. I'm going to go with that on Instagram. Says, when I was young, it was Lexington. However, I've been drawn towards Damona's complexity as I've grown older. And Damona's like, listen, MC, I finished watching the 5 episodes of the intro. She's bad. She's not good. She's definitely evil and dark, which is a little weird. Let's see. Sorry, I'm moving my mic stand. That sounded good. Let's see. Desert Sun Studios says all of the above, but Brooklyn will always be close to my heart. Aw. And then Jessica Corchia said Puck. He's not a gargoyle, but still counts in my book. Demona is my favorite gargoyle. Do you remember Puck?
No.
I'm gonna send you a picture here. There's a podcast to listen to called The Greatest Generation, that whenever they send a picture to each other, they call it Jackie and Laurieing a picture to each other. As in, like, I'm going to Jackie and Laurie you a picture, which I think it's a reference to another podcast called Jackie and Laurie, but I've never listened to the podcast Jackie and Laurie. And yet still, every time that I want to send you a picture, I almost say, let me Jackie and Laurie you a picture. And then I'm like, that's not our show.
I remember that guy now. Okay,
You know what I noticed in looking up Puck from Gargoyles is he looks a heck of a lot like Lucius Malfoy.
From the first episode.
Uh-huh. So you remember I was saying I'm pretty sure that Lucius Malfoy shows back up? I'm wondering if I was remembering Puck instead.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I don't know if he has any connection to Lucius Malfoy. I'm not sure. Cool. Let's
I like how we just call him that, even though that's not his name at all.
Sure it is. He's part of the Children of Oberon. They are one of the 3 races and the most mysterious and magical. Dude, I may have to watch the rest of Gargoyles because this show looks buck wild. Let's listen to one of our voicemails here. MC, if you go into our shared folder, there should be a folder called Incoming in there. I can't play the voicemail well in a way that we'll both hear it, so we're just gonna hit play on it together.
Hi, Troy and MC. Tyler here. I just wanted to call in and let you guys know that I did not watch Gargoyles growing up. Because 1, I can't pronounce it. And 2, it terrified me. It came on before or after X-Men on like the Disney Channel, and yeah, I just remember like every time I would accidentally catch some when I wanted to watch the X-Men, I'd just be like, ah! But yep. Bye.
Okay. So Tyler was scared of it, trying to watch X-Men.
You know,
seems.
It's terrible that this is the first thing I think of, but Tyler, no, you didn't. You're wrong. You're remembering history wrong, Tyler, because X-Men was on the Fox network and the Gargoyles was on the Disney network, so you didn't watch this. Anyway, that's not the point of the voicemail. The point of the voicemail is, hey, it is kind of a dark and scary show. That is something that, like, I was surprised by watching this show. It had an intensity that I don't think I expected.
Yeah, it was kind of dark. But a lot of the, like, when you think about it, like, a lot of the Disney stuff is kind of dark. Like, with all the fairy tale stuff that they did.
That's true. I guess, like, I mean, if you think about, like, Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, those movies are messed up. Like, Snow White creeped me out as I was a kid. We went to Disneyland just a couple weeks ago, and they were like, I went one day to Fairy Tale Land because my wife's pregnant, so she can't go on a lot of rides. And then we have 4 nephews that were with us who can't go on a lot of rides. So in the morning, we're like, well, we'll go over to Fairy Tale Land with my parents and the nephews and my wife so she can ride rides. Yeah. And they're like, we're going to go on the Snow White ride. And I was like, you have fun with that. I'm going to wait out here because that ride is spooky. No, thank you. But I feel like that kind of went away in the era of like Toon Disney and Disney Afternoon. I don't feel like, I mean, what do you got? You got your Tailspins, you got your Chip and Dales, you got your Darkwings, and even Darkwing Duck. I mean, it's called Darkwing Duck, but it's not dark and scary. Not at all.
No. It does seem out of place in, like, this time period when it was made.
Just a little bit, yeah. Cool. Let's see. What else do we got? Let's go to. Before we get to Banshees, I want to go to a couple of Reddit comments. Okay. So this was from Half-Baked Caterpillar, who says, groundbreaking. It began as competition with Batman the Animated Series and was unafraid to try new things. From the villains, Demona is one of the most in-depth villains around. Xanatos is timelessly hateable yet charming as one of the richest men on Earth. Macbeth is so exhausted and depressed from 1,000 years after watching his family die and his name tarnished that he's willing to kill Demona himself to secure his own death. That's a suicide pact on the Disney Channel. I don't remember. Is Macbeth maybe the captain of the guard? Does he come back?
Maybe.
You know what? I'm not going to play the theme song, but I am going to Google it real quick. Not Macbeth summary. Don't tell me about Shakespeare. I'm here for the cartoons. Macbeth on Gargoyles. No, it's the other guy. It was the guy who was attacking the castle. So
the Viking.
The Viking. He's apparently been cursed to like live on as long as the Gargoyles live or something.
Oh, wow.
It's this show, man. Let's see. Half-Baked Caterpillar goes on to say, let's see. The good guys, let's see. WOC lead, main character voiced by Keith David, cool and unique designs for the Gargoyles and dozens of other creatures featured on the show. Not to mention the show had a deep love for all things mythological, featuring gods and demigods from all over the world, Shakespeare's beloved cast of fairies from A Midsummer's Night's Dream. So I guess the Shakespeare is part of the cartoons. All right, Half-Baked Caterpillar, prove me wrong, fine. I could go on and on for days hailing how new and different the show was. It's only crime, Disney snatching away the director in season 3, leading to the show's downfall. So I remember that when we talked about the creation, that the director was there for like everything but the last 12 episodes, and apparently those last 12 episodes might not have been quite so good. I think he's got it right though about the character design though. That's like one of my favorite things about it is that the characters look really unique.
Yeah, they all look different from one another, and it's not just like each personality sets them apart. It's really cool, and they have like a development that happens because they're in the modern world. Yeah.
Gummy Genocide said they absolutely love the Gargoyles. I had a lot of Gargoyles merchandise. Yeah, I think that again those character designs lend themselves to a lot of super cool toys. And then last comment I want to call out from Reddit here is Count Callus says this might be one of the greatest shows ever made, animated or otherwise. The masterfully written storylines, the engaging heroes, the legendary villains, the epic soundtrack, the top-notch voice acting, it's all great. I also love the seamless melding of various different genres. You've got fantasy, mystery, history, mythology, and even some futuristic elements. Really, there's something for everyone to enjoy. To be honest, this might be my number one my number one favorite work of fiction. Gargoyles is just terrific. So, yeah, that kind of sums it all up. It's a good show, MC.
It is a really good show.
I think
I actually think I have to go back and watch it. I gotta finish it.
It's going to be coming to Disney Plus. They've announced that Gargoyles is one of the shows that's going to be on Disney Plus. So I think as soon as it hits, I might just like start putting Gargoyles on anytime I've got a few free minutes.
Nice.
We might just have to change to a Disney Afternoon podcast when Disney Plus comes out, because it's going to be like, ooh, I'm seeing Darkwing Duck. Ooh, I'm seeing Tailspin. Do you remember Tailspin? He has a little boomerang hoverboard that he flies around on while he's trailing behind a plane. How we do that, though? To wrap up our feedback section, let's go ahead and listen to our voicemail from Mute Banshee.
Hi, Troy and MC. This is Mute Banshee, and I wanted to call in and leave a review about Boston Legal. Boston Legal, you say? Why would I be leaving a review about that? Well, it's because I haven't seen Gargoyles, but also it's because Boston Legal has so many Star Trek characters in it. Like, one of the main characters is William Shatner, who is Captain Kirk, and another is Renee Auberjonois, who is Odo from Deep Space Nine. And then, like, just all the Star Trek characters show up as, like, side characters and things. And it's great. I give it a 6 out of 10, and it's awesome. My time is up. Bye!
Mute Banshee, of course, was a guest back in our episodes covering Miraculous, Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, and also has an awesome podcast called Stories from Eorzea, where they cover all kinds of different stuff. It started as a Final Fantasy podcast, and then it's done a bunch of different things. She's lately played Super Mario Maker and recorded a Let's Play of it, and it's great. So Boston Legal, MC.
Yeah, Boston Legal, and apparently a lot of ties to Star Trek.
Just like Gargoyles.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Boston Legal?
I think maybe 1 or 2 episodes. I can't really remember. Oh my god. Yeah, I think I have.
I've not seen 1 minute of Boston Legal, but it's cool that it has so many Star Trek characters on it. MC,
I thought that was a bit weird, especially because Mubanshi did something that you dislike, which was they ranked it.
She gave it 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Although I like that it was a 6 out of 10, but also it's fabulous. Like, hang on.
Yeah.
6 out of 10 is not a fabulous score.
No. Fabulous is like 8 and above.
Yeah. MC, can you do me a favor real quick?
What?
To actually wrap up this section? Listen, I love your accent. You know I love your accent.
Okay.
Can you say Renee Aubergenois?
Renee Aubergenois.
It actually sounds more correct when you do it. I feel like somehow your Australian is closer to French than my dumb American accent.
Fair enough.
Aubergenois.
Aubergenois.
Hey, Deep Space Nine's a good show.
Yeah, I really like Deep Space Nine.
Speaking of good shows, let's go rank the Gargoyles. So, as a recap here, our big list currently in the lead, number 1 on the big list is Batman the Animated Series, followed by My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Castlevania, Pokemon Indigo League, Restaurant to Another World, Mob Psycho 100, Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir, Dungeons and Dragons, SpongeBob SquarePants, Biker Mice from Mars, and forever at the bottom of the list, The Legend of Zelda. So, MC, I put it to you that I think that this show is very good. I think it goes in the top half of the list. I think that the first thing we have to compare it to is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Where do you think it goes relative to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I think it's below the Turtles, to be honest.
Yeah?
But I still think it should be above Pokemon. Or maybe just below Pokemon.
I would definitely put it above Pokemon. Castlevania is tough because there's a lot of similarities in the darkness and the creepiness factor that this goes for, but Castlevania obviously does that way more. Honestly, I was playing with putting this above Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I really like these 3 episodes a lot. I felt like they were telling a more interesting story than those first couple episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because Turtles was a lot sillier, whereas this had a lot more gravitas.
It did have more gravitas in this one. I think that also dealing with like magic and like it's not just like science stuff. It's like weird magic and corporation and like all this like weird stuff that's happening. It's like, okay, this show really draws you in. It like we still don't know who those guys are. We're seeing them in 2 episodes now.
We don't know how Angel of the Night is back. There are so many questions, and they are questions that I'm really excited about. Whereas Turtles was fun, but it was fun. Like, it wasn't as compelling, I would say.
No.
I would put this at 4. I could take putting it at 5.
I can see it there.
If you have a strong feeling.
I can see it there. No, I don't have a strong feeling. I was just like going off how I felt, so
it's done. It is on the list at number 4, pushing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles down the list, in behind Dragon Ball. I think that's right. I don't think I'd put this above Dragon Ball.
No. Okay. I still reckon Dragon Ball is really good.
All right, so Gargoyles takes the number 4 place on the list.
Yeah.
Which means it's time to figure out what we're gonna watch next. So MC, because we talked about it here, I'm just checking if somebody submitted this, because if not, I'm just putting it on myself. The Mighty Ducks needs to be on the list. It needs to be.
I think that's on one of our lists.
It is definitely on mine. I'm just checking the. Nope, it hasn't been suggested. So I'm putting that in as my pick. The Mighty Ducks, submitted by.
Okay. Well. What do I put on? Here's the thing. I don't know how to follow this show up. Like,
it's very good.
Yeah. Like, do I purposely go for something that's, like, really corny and definitely won't do as good? Or do I try and match, like, how good this show is to continue on with, like, just having some really good shows?
That's tough. It's a tough call. I'm going to do, my pick was serious. I'm going to do a silly one for my listener submission. So if that tells you where my headspace is at.
Okay. Well, let me see. Let's do Dragon Ball Z.
Okay. Dragon Ball Z, which I think Thomas sent that one in, right?
Yeah, he did.
Thank you, Thomas. For my listener submission, I'm going to put on, where did it go? Oh my gosh, I've forgotten what show I was going to do. Oh, there it is. The New Adventures of Gilligan, submitted by Tyler at Jack's Cat Colt. The New Adventures of Gilligan. I believe this is the cartoon where the Gilligan's Island crew gets lost in space. What's your pick, MC? Your personal pick.
Well, it's been a few weeks, hasn't it?
The only things off the board are Avatar,
I'm gonna put
Aquatine,
Food
and
Wars
Street
back
Sharks.
on there.
Food Wars. You're gonna keep pushing that one till it comes up, huh?
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
All right, so MC is going to grab a 4-sided dice, and we are going to pick between number 1, The Mighty Ducks, number 2, Dragon Ball Z, number 3, The New Adventures of Gilligan, or number 4, Food Wars. He's heating the dice up. He's warming up. He's rolled.
4. Again,
it's a 4.
this week.
We're watching Food Wars. MC, tell us a little bit about Food Wars. What do we need to know going into it?
Essentially, it's the best restaurant in the world, I guess, or in Japan at least. And a whole bunch of like students get sent there from around the world. And the first episode is the main character trying to get into this like massive food school. And the first few episodes are really dealing with like him getting into this school and like fitting in.
MC, does he meet like a super powerful chef who's like the best in the world who makes him eat a little bit of his hair in order to gain some of his cooking powers?
No.
Because this sounds a lot like My Hero Academia.
No. In the school, he's really good, but he also likes to make like disgusting flavored things.
Okay.
And he sort of gets all this stuff from his dad.
You know what I think our homework should be for this one? Is we should both play a little bit of Battle Chef Brigade and then talk about that at some point. Because Battle Chef Brigade is that plot. It's the same thing. So we'll be back next week to talk to you all about Food Wars and also probably to talk a little bit about Battle Chef Brigade because it's a very fun game. I've talked about it on the show before. But yeah, it's good stuff. So tune in next week where we talk about Food Wars, Shokugeki no Soma, Season 1, Episode 1, still looking. The Vast Wasteland / An Endless Wasteland. Why? Okay, a lot of these. Oh, okay. English title / Japanese translated title. So the English title is The Vast Wasteland. Food Wars Season 1, Episode 1, The Vast Wasteland.
Until next time.
Keep eating. I don't know. I think on the episodes where we pick the next show, do we still say something at the end?
I can't remember.
We should probably develop a format that we follow.
Thanks for listening to the best animated shows ever, so far. Find the show on Twitter at BaseSFcast or email us at basesfcast@gmail.com. That's BASESFCAST. Our intro music is Funnin' and Sunnin', and our outro music is Motivator, both by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, and licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Thanks again for listening, and tune in next time.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
@ProbablyWork for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.